I'm Rave. So, first off, I want to say I don't have a script for this. I don't really like writing scripts entirely because I feel like I have a lot more to say than what I put down on a piece of paper or a Google document. Though usually those are just like outlines of what I want to say and stuff. So, I don't really have a script for this. It takes too much of my time for some reason. So, whatever. 2, I have birds. You're gonna hear them a lot, so I'm gonna try and cut them out the best of my abilities. And I'm not the most professional. I'm just doing this for fun. I'm just doing this because I want to spread my gospel or whatever the fuck, right? So here's some warnings that I'm gonna probably I will edit in the video. So here they are, just for your own safety or mental health and whatnot, before we get into the actual nitty-gritty of everything. So warnings: there will be mentions of grooming, pedophilia, sexual assault, coxa, child predator mentions, I have to word it like that, I apologize, molesting, and sexual harassment. Other stuff I want to say as well: don't go harassing or witch hunting anyone that I mention in this video, because I know and I will mention people, of course. But don't harass, don't witch hunt, don't do any of that shit. I'm gonna be honest, you are not being any better than the other people that are complete weirdos out there. Maybe not exactly, but you get what I mean. Anywho. Wow. So what's gonna be the general topic of this? I hate that people misuse labels, because I hate when people misuse labels. Look, it's okay to get things wrong time to time. I mean, everyone does. It's normal. It's a part of life. You just whatnot, whatever. But when it comes to the point when it's serious labels, like let's say pedophilia, right? People will just use that word because, oh no, this person is problematic now, so they're automatically a pedophile. But that's just not how it works. And that's dangerous to, just call someone, especially when you know nothing of the situation going on at hand, right? And I keep seeing that happen so much, and it's annoying. It's frustrating. It's stupid even. Hello? Have we not learned that in first grade, you don't be mean to people? You also don't put accusations on people unless you have some kind of proof going on, right? And I can say the same for the word groomer and, predator. I see people confuse the word pedophile with predator, and it's like, how the fuck did we get here? I guess you can confuse them, but maybe I look too deep into labels to where it's like, oh, okay, I understand this. I don't know how exactly to explain it to other people, but I understand it. I'll try my best. In the most blunt way to describe pedophilia is an adult having romantic or sexual attraction to a minor. And there it is, guys. Oh, but then there'll be people coming in being like, what about an 18 and 17-year-old? That's wrong. That's icky, guys. Or people saying, oh, what about 18 and 16? That's also icky, guys. Am I the evil one? Am I the evil one for thinking that's not wrong? Obviously there's gonna be an issue if it's 14 and 18, okay? Obviously there's an issue there, but 16, 18? How does it not go through people's brains that is okay? It's not someone who's 32 with a 16-year-old, hello? I do not understand how you can not understand what the word pedophile means, right? When it's so bluntly said all over the internet. God, especially if you're on Twitter all the time. Twitter just loves using the word pedophile without any reason or what say how. It's frustrating, it's stupid, it's idiotic. I don't understand it myself personally. Maybe because I go outside or I'm around sensible people that know, hey, you're not using that word correctly. That's a little dangerous, right? Dude, you're being stupid and immature. Don't be throwing that shit around, girl. You serious? And now let's reference something. Let's reference Jack, right? I don't think he's a pedophile. I feel like I have to say this. I don't. Just because he's replying to someone younger than him is post, it does not make him a pedophile. Sorry guys, oh my god. I don't think he's a groomer for that thing either, but I do think he's in the wrong. I know he's in the wrong. he is the older one, and that kid is like 13 years old with that hypersexual sona. And like, look, a lot of people have issues with themselves. I have issues, okay? But I'm not gonna go on and like basically, I wouldn't say promote doesn't sound right exactly, but I would go on to say that it isn't right to, I guess, be positive about that thing. I don't think you should be positive about a 13-year-old doing a thing like that, especially at 13. That's just me though. Maybe I'm evil. Maybe I'm too woke, guys. I don't know. More on about like the Jack stuff real quick, and also roping in the Cindy stuff as well, since they go hand in hand. And they're good examples for what I want to talk about, mainly with how people are treating it, not the actual situation themselves. I'm not going into that. You can find other people to talk about that, sorry. I saw a lot of people calling Cindy Bear a pedophile, and that's not true. She's not a pedophile either. Whoa, guys. That's fucking crazy for me to say. I know, I get it. It's crazy, it's bewildering, it made people die. But she is a groomer. We can get that out of the way. We can see it clear as day. She's a groomer. She's a predator, okay? But she's not a pedophile. You can be a groomer and a pedophile. You can be, but she isn't either of those things. I meant to say that she isn't one of those things. Please ignore my fuck ups. She doesn't have, like, really an attraction to minors. It's more of the fact that she just kept going after the same person and kept doing the same repeated shit over and over and over again, which was definitely on purpose, especially when you are taking into account of your own actions, especially if you were older than the little, how old were they? Like 14, like, you see how there's a difference between a pedophile and a groomer, guys? There's a difference. Now, on to like the Jack stuff. One, I don't think he's a pedophile, and I don't think he's a groomer specifically for the, like, replying to the 13-year-old his post. I don't think he is for that, but I do think he's in the wrong, and definitely not thinking about how he's approaching everything at all, and not being clear with a lot of things, like with his 18+ account and like on Discord stuff and yada yada, like more talking in a recent sense. I gotta like preface this that I don't think he is a groomer or a pedophile for commenting on a 13-year-old's post. His reply of being mad about being told their age, yeah, that's immature and really stupid. Yup. But that's just what I think, really. And I would assume most normal people would assume the same thing. It's just, I don't know, it's common sense. What's another example I can give with this? Well, let's say it's two people. The first one is a bit younger, like let's say like 13, and the second one is maybe 15. I'm gonna say 15 for this. Now, let's say the 15-year-old is like unhealthy, toxic, not a good partner to the other person. Some people will sometimes go and label that as grooming, depending on the severity of the situation. And I'm gonna personally say I don't entirely like that, but it's very like 50-50, I feel, because sometimes it can just be like young little kids being stupid, right? It happens a lot, and neither of them realize how wrong it is, so essentially enabling each other on the wrong things. And that happens a lot more than people realize and more than people would want to admit. Or two, it's just manipulation, and most of the time I want to say when it is two people that are around those ages, I said, it is manipulation. But that is just me. With grooming, it is usually like a way older person than the other one. Like let's say 12 and 16. Oh, ew, that's gross. I think then that would be grooming if there's like showing signs of that, if that's the way to word it and such, right? And not a lot of people realize that, and that angers me. It is frustrating, irritating, like whatever else you can name, right? It's just, why are we putting younger people at such a high pedestal? Does that make sense? Hopefully, I don't know. And I'm not saying that like grooming between those ages doesn't mean it can't happen. It can happen. I'm saying personally, most of the time it is manipulation, but again, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I hope that makes sense. Don't cancel me. Don't cancel me over it. I'm speaking my thoughts. I'm speaking my gospel. I also just bring that up because there's so many instances in this community where people have accused younger people of being these like dangerous labels when they aren't that. They're just being manipulative and or enabling each other without realizing. And it's upsetting, it's sad, and I wish more people were able to see that, see the wrong in it. But alas, when you grow up on the internet and you grow up around other like immature idiots, you don't really exactly know what's right and what's wrong fully, because those people you're hanging around doesn't even know what's right and wrong, right? And God, it's just angering. I can like also bring up other things, like sort of moving away from like the misuse of labels and more onto like, oh, like just I guess children as a topic. I would want to bring up maybe like Coxa, and mainly because of that is because I don't think people can take Coxa serious enough, and I don't think people realize like the reasons of why that can happen most of the time. And it happens because the one child is around an adult figure in their life that is abusing them in some way, sexual abuse. And I hate it when people villainize and demonize a really young kid who's doing bad actions. And no, I'm not saying don't hold them accountable, don't like give them any consequences. Obviously they deserve some kind of consequence going on, but I don't think we should demonize and villainize young kids that are doing these actions that they are learning from people older than them. And that is an issue I see big in this community, in honestly just life in general, and it pisses me off. Or it's the other way where they just simply let the kid go. They don't do anything about it and they treat them like an angel. I don't think we should do that either. There should be a fine little balance. You can do both. You can hold someone accountable, yet give an understanding of, oh, this and this is why it happened. There can be that fine line. You can give that balance, and people cannot do that. People have to think they have to stick to one strict thing. Or if you're doing this other thing while doing that, people are gonna call you a hypocrite or a liar or a piece of shit and stuff. And it's like, that's not how it works. Why are we doing this? Why is that a thing that we just do and not understand what's wrong and what's right? I don't get it. It's stupid. It's so stupid to me. And I feel like when that happens, when we don't do anything to the kid, they can't realize why that was wrong. Or if we completely like villainize the kid, it's like, oh, they'll still keep going on with it because little kids can be really petty about things. And plus, it's just in general with anyone, if you're too negative about something, they're gonna keep doing it because, oh, well, I've been doing this and been liking this, and I haven't been told anything about it wrong, and yada yada yada, you get it. Like, everyone is the same with that, right? If that makes sense at all. And also just, it's better to talk to the person about the thing that they're doing wrong in a more positive way, because generally it's just a good way to talk to someone. I feel like everyone should know that, but we're losing that nowadays, it seems. I feel like the more as I look back at like past dramas or like just past things in general, I start to realize that like when you put a community together that's full of younger people, a lot of those people will start to believe in their own philosophies on things and such. And that can be good and all, but to the point where it forms a whole little like community of thinking these negative things and doing these negative things, it just starts to fuck things up in the end, and that's not good. That's not good at all. It just causes some sort of irreparable damage to a community. I mean, with the animation meme community, there's so much drama in that because it's just a bunch of kids crying about this and this, about, oh, but Ashley stole Susan's art style or whatnot, and it's like, oh my stars, guys. Jesus Christ. Like, I get it, so long ago, but then with all this Ashley stuff, it's then like, oh, getting accused wrongfully of things, getting confused, sorry, I can't speak, getting, like, accused of things that they never even did, never said, never happened, or being yelled at for being silly and making silly little jokes that, in reality, shouldn't have made anything, I'll be honest. Like, hello? And also, to add on to the fact that the animation meme community, and generally the art community, I'll be honest, even when the art community is filled with older people, like, kind of take art so seriously. It's fucking crazy. But also, art is like, anyone can get into it. Like, anyone. So, it's like, oh shit, we got, insert like crazy fucking Twitter username, but as a person. That describes a person, never mind. But you know what I mean. I just think the community being surrounded and filled with only like 10 to maybe 13-year-olds and sometimes older, bad things happen, obviously. Children influence other children because, oh, they're my age and they're doing this, so it's okay, right? It's like yada yada yada. Anywho, but I hope that comes across as like nice. Well, not nice, but understanding why I would even think that, but whatever. And it also brings back to my point of labels being misused. Labels like grooming, or pedophilia, or predator even. Some people don't know what predator fully means, and that's fucking crazy to me. Because it's like, oh, even with animals, it's kind of the same thing. A predator, an animal, goes after a group of someone that's lesser than them, or an animal that's lesser than them. Humans do the same thing, but usually it's adults, people that are older, or just older people going after younger people, and they prey on them. That's what it is. And you don't need attraction to a certain group in order to prey on them, right? Like, why? A lot of serial killers are technically predators. They prey on different kinds of people or a certain group of people, right? And that's a crazy comparison again. I'm not comparing. Well, I mean, in some way I am, but it's more of just like the fact that, like, oh, okay, well, it's just, I guess, technically an example of like, oh, something that's a predator but isn't relating to pedophilia. I don't think every single killer you see is going to be like sexually or romantically attracted to who they're killing. Yeah, like sometimes it's going to be like that, but not all the time. Sorry, I'm gonna get off this topic now. It's just a really funny thing for me to bring up randomly. Anywho, it's just, dude, people don't know the difference, and that's crazy to me. And I'm gonna say that a lot probably, and say that with a lot of other things as well. Anywho, you see the point that I'm trying to get at. You see what I'm trying to say, trying to bring up what other things you can say to go along with the sentence, right? I wish people can see, if they don't already, see what's wrong with it. Maybe if they do, maybe see it a bit better. Right? I feel like people have just watered down a lot of terms and labels to where people just use them willy-nilly, and their original meaning means jack shit to them. And that's not good, that's not healthy. I don't like that, and I'm sure tons of other people will agree with me. Tons of other mature, smart-thinking people will agree with me. Not to be a little mean when I say smart and mature, but some people just aren't smart and mature. But I digress. Anywho, now I want to go on and bring up, like, the word molesting. And I also bring this up because I feel like not a lot of people use this correctly. And it also angers me a lot. And it's like, dude, you can't just throw that around. But that's just me personally. Just a little bit, just me. I have to bring it up because, again, a lot of people misuse the word molesting. That's great, guys. We can't use basic fucking words. What the hell is this? Another thing that gets misused a lot of the time is sexual harassment. And it's like, how do you misuse sexual harassment? I feel like sexual harassment is such a simple thing to understand, right? But I can say the same thing about any other label. Like, the thing I complained about the most so far is the word pedophilia and grooming. But I digress. But you get what I mean. And it's like, how do we get here? How do we get to the point where we confuse the labels with each other? Like, how are you gonna be a court judge if you don't know, like, these simple, like, labels? Maybe not simple to most. What if we go over, like, definitions of each of the things I've brought up so far? That sounds fun. I think that's a good idea. Let's do that! For some of these, I'm just gonna say them in a blunt way. Pedophilia, to put it in a blunt way, someone who's attracted to someone who's underage, right? Let's say someone's like 22 and they're having some feelings for this 15 to 16-year-old. See, that would be pedophilia, because the 22-year-old is clearly a grown adult. They can drink, they can drive, they can do whatnot. Well, the little 15 to 16-year-old, they probably can't even drive. They can't even drive. Hello? In US standards, they can't drive. I mean, if we look at other European countries, you can't drive until you're 18. Like in Denmark, you can't drive till you're 18. Whatever, but you get it. Like, that's pedophilia right there. That's, hello? With grooming, when talking about in this context, is a person, usually always an adult, the older one, handpicking out another person, someone who's usually minor, and someone who already has some isolation to them. Not always, but usually. And they emotionally manipulate them and use them for their own, their own ways, their own pleasures and such. And with grooming, it isn't always pedophilia, but most of the time it can be, but not always. Pedophilia is just the attraction. Grooming is the action of doing something, is the best way of putting it. And with being a child predator, you're just being a predator to children. I don't know how to explain it exactly. With molesting, the two definitions that Google would give you is sexual assault or abuse a person, especially a child, and pest or harass someone in an aggressive or persistent manner. So just sort of another way of saying sexual assault. And again, which leads to me being like, how do people misuse those terms, right? With sexual harassment as well, it is usually described as someone who's making comments towards someone sexual, being too close to them in a personal way, and yada yada, and is sometimes described as a repeated process, like, oh, this person has been sexually harassing me. Oh, they're a sexual harasser and whatnot. It's something they do constantly and repeat the process of. It can be referred to as something that's happened once, but you get it. And then sexual assault, it can be referred to obviously multiple times, or something that happened once of a person maybe assaulting you or assaulting your friend, and so maybe touching them on their body without consent for obvious reasons. Making it sexual assault. Sexual assault could range from things like touching a person's chest in their body, their thighs and such, but we should know that, right? I think everyone should know that. I got a little detailed there. I apologize for that. I give up on this, but dude, you get it. Like, such a simple Google search can make you understand what this one thing can actually mean, and like some extensive research beyond that in order to understand it more. I'm sure there's literally YouTube videos out there that talk about the differences in things, or how you can identify it, or how you can call it this and that. And even if you get something wrong, you can always just look it up. You can always learn, do research. You get it. Like, you can do so much in order to educate yourself properly, and yet people still refuse to be, like, a decent human being. They still refuse to work as a proper human being, and I think that's just crazy to me. I feel like the more people don't understand labels and misuse them because they think it's funny and ultimately can ruin a person's career, life, and whatnot, it also comes to the point where you have to realize those same people are the same kind that don't have manners and or are not the nicest people, to put it, and are oftentimes very rude, very immature most of the time, especially if they're older and they're just misusing shit like, oh, pedophile, because they think it's funny and totally makes sense and totally goes along with whatever. Like, I don't know. It's upsetting, and also just the fact that people are, I don't know, losing etiquette as well. I don't know how to explain that. I'm not gonna elaborate, but I hope what I'm saying makes sense in some form, shape and form and whatnot, up in the stars to the core of the earth, you know. Honestly, it just feels like I'm rambling about this point, and you know, that's usually what these kinds of videos are. You just ramble about whatever topic comes to mind and you go off and it's like, okay, well, this is a banger, let's go with it, right? Anywho, I just wanted to say that. Another thing, like a reason of why people just love misusing labels, but one of the reasons at least would just be because they don't like a person. And I think I said this earlier, but it's, oh, I don't like this person, so I'm gonna call them these bad things that just aren't true. And or because they just don't understand the label, obviously, but whatever. And it's just like, don't do that just because you don't like someone. That's, whoa. I'm a dickhead, right? But I'm not gonna go on and be like, this person's a pedophile, guys, and it's just not even true. It's like those people on TikTok that will just say like random bullshit, being like, I heard this voice actor was interacting with minors inappropriately, and it's just like, where are you hearing that from? That is not true at all. Where are you hearing this information? Who are you talking to? Hello? I guess that also brings up the fact of like why certain labels get misused on certain people is because of the kind of people they're around as well, but you can say that with a lot of things. It's like, oh, they're around these kind of people, so they're gonna start acting like that and start thinking the same, right? It's how cliques and stuff work as well. It's like, okay, that happens, that's normal, you can't really avoid that, obviously, that's just human nature. But also, another factor of like why people would just misuse labels is because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And I said that earlier, I think, but dude. But it's also like, where are you getting this kind of information? Right? Like with the TikTok thing I mentioned, it's like, where are you getting this kind of information? Hello? Do people just make up things for fun? Because that's the only other way to, like, think of that as, right? It's like, where did this come from? And that's even more immature and even more stupid to do because you're just making shit up for clout most of the time as well. Like, I can bring up another situation, like the Quiet situation, if you know about that. It's like, oh, they just made up shit to seem better, maybe, and or to get clout. And it's like, dude, I don't want to call it a situation per se. It happened, so the best way I can describe it. It's just crazy to me that people do it. I'm gonna say that a lot. Have I? How many times have I said this? You beat myself in this video. Yeah. Maybe one day in the future, this stupidity will just stop. But, you know, knowing how life works with people and just the world, it won't. It's not. Sometimes you just have to deal with it and just simply ignore those people, but ignoring can be pretty hard for some people, which is also crazy because you have a whole life to go to, right? But that's me being a hypocrite when I say that. I mean, why else would I be making this videos? Because I can't ignore it. I guess another thing I can bring up that goes along with this is like mental illnesses, like how people just, I guess you could say, portray different mental illnesses. Like ADHD is a big one. A lot of people, let's say like on TikTok, you just see of ADHD because of this one single thing, but it's like, you know, there's like a bunch of other stuff that goes along with it as well. And that's not exactly misusing, it's just not understanding. But you can also say that with like not understanding what these certain labels mean, and so you misuse it. But it's like, okay, well, fuck, okay, well. And then another thing like BPD, like people just misuse that, and sometimes it leads to different things just being portrayed wrongfully, and that's not good either. This brings up with the research thing as well. It's like, you can research things for free. The internet is there, right? So why not do at least some research? And if you don't understand it, then maybe do more research. Essentially, maybe going to people that have BPD and asking about it, and it's like, okay. Or other things as well, right? It's I don't think it's that hard. Or maybe it's just because I understand things more easily. Yeah, they're fine. God, why can I not say words correctly? Sorry, not related. Mental illness. I was saying like men. God damn it. I can't speak sometimes. I forget that. Oh no, I gotta add that to my warnings list. Holy hell, I didn't expect this video to be so long. Like 30 minutes? What the fuck, guys? This also took, I guess, a little bit of time to make. This is like the second attempt at making this kind of video, and you know, I'm more happy with whatever the fuck I had before. I don't even remember what I had before. So, hi, bye, You should check out my other socials. That's in my straw page. That's great. Bye. Thank you. Bye.